Hi. Hey, podcasters, my beautiful podcasting tribe. Momentarily, Javonna will be jumping onto the line. We're going to see her and we're going to discuss the Both And Project, which I'm excited about, and her empowering marginalized leaders. So there's Cream, he jumps into every video. If you haven't checked out her episode, make sure you jump in and check out this episode because Javonna is doing a lot of really great work in leadership circles, and she is really helping to empower marginalized communities. So we're going to give a moment for her to come on and for other people to jump into the video. So it looks like Javonna is here. So Javonna, if you just request to be in the video, we'll have you on here in a second. And then everyone else, stay tuned because it's good conversation coming your way. So, let's see here. There we go. We're going. Hey,
Hello.
we made it together. Yes.
This is my first Instagram live. I've done Facebook, but I haven't done Instagram yet.
You know what? That's why we go live so much from this platform, because we do Facebook so often. And I feel that there are so many amazing people on Instagram that we can connect with who might not use Facebook to the same level, or consistency. And so I try to diversify the platforms in which we go live on. So I'm happy you made it here, and I'm excited for the people who are going to come and join. I'm going to go ahead and invite just some people to jump in the video with us while we are waiting. How's the weather in Florida?
Oh my gosh, actually this morning, it's always beautiful, but this morning it was really stormy, which I actually really like that.
I love the heat too. I'm like, yes, give me more sunshine, give me more heat, give me all of that for sure.
Invite a few more people.
Yeah, before we get started, absolutely.
Why not? Why not invite all these people?
Yeah.
Join us.
So while we're waiting for people to join us, Javonna, why don't you just give us a little background on what you were talking about in this episode?
Yeah, and one thing I want to start with is how quickly we all grow, especially in this current moment, and how quickly ideas transform. So we talked about this maybe recorded almost a month ago, and all the ideas in that episode are still so valuable and important, and they've evolved, of course. But so yeah, I was talking about first and foremost systemic, what systems are, and we can incite change or be part of change as our relationship with ourselves being the smallest system that we all participate in, and how change that system, and it has like a larger effect on changing the rest of the systems that we're involved in. I think that was like the main part of that conversation.
Yeah, which I know a lot of people are probably like, I think we should spend some time just there, not giving away too much, because, we definitely want them to listen to the episode if they have not. It's been a lot of people tuning into your episode, I just have to say. But I would like us to just stop there for a moment and talk about like how change really truly begins with us. It's not just a saying.
Not just a what?
Not just a saying. It's not just a saying like, oh, change begins with us, but it's actually part of a way of changing a system, truly.
It is. And I think it can get really overwhelming trying to be part of a change. And like, there's just so many things to change. And I really think starting with yourself is the best way to engage with that, and not be So if you are feeling overwhelmed, maybe the macro big picture is like inspiring for you, but sometimes
Right.
for me, I'm just like, oh, I'm exhausted. Like, what can I do today? You know what I can do today? I can drink a glass of water. Like, that's one of my favorite things to think of.
Yes.
Drink a
Yes.
glass of
Something so
water.
simple.
You drinking some water?
Something so simple. Yes.
So it's like it. I think it's really nice to have that moment to just relax into um, self. If you're feeling overwhelmed, like what can I do for me that we're first before like reaching out to the rest of the world if you're
Right.
overwhelmed. And
Right.
honestly, I'm gonna say if you're a Black person or you're BIPOC in general right now,
Hmm.
honestly, that's what we all need to be. I'm doing that for myself right now. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we need to sit in with ourselves a little bit more, take care of us right now, for
And
sure.
be unapologetic about that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And so that being our first system, which you kind of walked us through in the podcast. And so we use that as a way, you use that as a way to like funnel your work in leadership coaching in your group. So tell us about your group and how you're using this for leadership coaching.
yeah, definitely. And you know, it's so funny, like how much I say, yeah, definitely. There's little things you notice.
I know, right? When you're in front of the camera, you start
Um,
noticing a lot of different things about the way you speak. I definitely do the same.
yeah. So my group, and it's, you know, I think something about being a leader is being able to hold a moment, and this moment is definitely a special one that needs to be held. So I actually introduced another leader into the group. Her name is Erica Fuller. She's a campaign manager, local leader in Portland area, who is a Black woman
Hmm.
who is kind of helping me step up in my leadership as well, trying to offer more voices for different experiences, especially given this experience that we're in with Black Lives Matter. So that's one thing that I've empowered. I found we worked a lot together. We actually did some coaching work together, and now she's stepping up with me to lead the group. And so I think a huge part of empowerment, especially in that group, is centering important voices. Like I'm going to be centering your husband soon, which I'm very
Hmm.
excited about. Talk about a powerful story. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I just think people think leadership is all an empowerment and it's about sharing your story, but I really think it's about holding space for each other's stories and seeing yourself so that you can see other people, you know?
Hmm. Absolutely. I think that's a beautiful way of looking at leadership. And I love the way you said that because, like, even during our podcast, it really brought attention to how many of us are actually leaders. You know, people don't necessarily think that. They always think like I have to be the top of an organization, but you're leaders in your own right. And you, by providing that context, you really like give people a deeper understanding of that.
Yes. One of my friends just joined. Hi, Alan. He's a chiropractor in Denver.
Hi, welcome.
Yeah, and I think that we find so much empowerment in hearing, like in sharing common experiences, which is why empowering each other is so important. And that's what
Hmm.
space is also for, and empowering marginalized leaders on Facebook is like it's all about um, hearing each other and seeing, because
Right.
we are just mirrors for each other, right? So like seeing each other
Yes.
and seeing parts of, you know, I think I said this in the podcast too. It's like if you can see beauty in someone else, it's because you see beauty in yourself. And
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
that's so powerful, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. I think the quote is a woman says to another woman, and hello, longevity. I see that you just came on. Is that your friend?
Yeah, it's Alan, yeah.
Okay. I, it says something to the extent of so a woman says, "You're so beautiful," and she says, "Queen, I'm a reflection of you." And I'm like, wow, you know, that's really just so empowering and so reflective.
And it takes a lot of work to be able to get to that point. And if there was ever a moment for us to do that work, it's right now.
It is right now. It's right now.
Yes.
It's right now. And so leading into, I know we didn't talk about, and I said it on the podcast, I meant this. We're going to have a whole nother episode about the Both And project. But just in the spirit of what you're talking about right now, I do definitely think we should bring up what Both And is, because it's relevant in the climate of what we're going through, how we're showing up as leaders. So could you speak to like what that is? And then I'm putting it in the universe. We are going to have another podcast where she's going to really break down this concept even further.
Yeah. So let me just start to say something I'm working on myself is honoring our ancestors and the people who came before us in general. So the both and concept is not mine, of course. Like most concepts that we hold aren't our own. They are
exactly
for communities. So in school, as marriage and family therapists, we talk, especially because we have to work with often, imagine a couple fighting, you have to see both of their sides. So that means you have to be able to hold two sometimes opposing truths as both moments.
Probably quite frequently opposing truths.
Yeah. Like, no, it's this way. No, it's that way. And you have to say, I'm like, but it's both of those. And you know what I think is really powerful right now, if we want to talk about some both and work that we could all be doing, is how do we both hold both the oppressor and the oppressed, the colonizer and the colonized in our own DNA, in our own bodies, in our own experiences. I'm working on that myself currently. I'm working with a anti-racist consultant right now. I'm trying to make sure that I'm being accountable in my own work. Hey, Kim, another my friend just joined.
Hey.
And one of the things that we have learned to do, especially Latinx people, is erase our African roots. But like, what that means is that, or indigenous roots even, like, which comes from colonization, right? And then so I hold in my body both the colonizer and the colonized. And both of those things are true. Both of those things are my identity. I can't identify with one more than the other. And that is a very hard paradox that many, many, many people in this country, specifically the United States, a lot of the Americas in general, hold. And so the Both And project is finding, it's a social media project mostly, that's just to offer ideas on like how do we hold space for all of the paradoxes that we shame hypocrisy so much. Like we shame this idea that you could be hypocritical. But the thing is that like we are all hypocritical in every moment because you have to be. Like, who wants to stay the same person their whole life? Who wants to say this one thing about themselves 10 years ago and 5 years in the future still be holding themselves to that? Like, we want to grow and change, so you're gonna be hypocritical, right? Like, you're just gonna be. So holding space to accept that, and it invites compassion, and I think that's my biggest goal, is for us to hold compassion for ourselves, for each other, and just like through compassion, I think brings healing. And like, we got to heal right now. We really got a lot of healing to do.
We really do. And I love that you said that because, kind of when you talk about emotion and feelings, I've heard so often, like specifically growing up, like it's either this or it's that. And, these very hard stances, I don't know if it's like a reflection of my ethnic background or me being a Midwesterner. And so, people from Chicagoland area, they kind of like categorize us as being a little bit more cold. And so I don't know if it's geographical or my ethnicity is what I'm pretty much getting at. But I've always heard you have to choose. You have to be this or that. Even in the midst of this pandemic and police brutality, I see people feeling like, no, you can't be tired right now because, you have to show up to continue the work of your ancestors and to show up for the people who are presently living. And it's like, but offering both and gives compassion to the story. I can be tired and still committed to my community. And, the examples like that just really continue to go on. It doesn't have to be, there's room for both positions in one statement. And so I appreciate you talking about compassion and the reality of both being very important.
Yeah, and it makes me think of, too, with the protests and all that, I'm like, how can we both take care of ourselves and protest? Like,
yeah.
Like a protest with some like meditation, like what if like
right.
how do we, if we need to occupy a space like they're doing in Seattle, how can you occupy a space and hold space for the movement as well and hold space for the healing? And I think that I have a lot of friends in Seattle. I think there's some work to do there for sure. But I hope that they can find that crux. I hope that they can get through that, because the concept of occupying a space to uplift the Black Lives Matter movement, even though the Black Lives Matter movement didn't ask for that space, is a great idea, but you got to do it. You know what I mean? And so I love the idea of seeing protests hold meditation, or protests hold self-care, or finding a way to meld the two. And also sometimes it means you got to sit down for yourself. You got to rest, especially if you're like Black right now. I'm sorry, like Black folks get to rest as much as they want right now, as much as they need to, as much, like period.
Right. Yeah.
You should make any Black person feel guilty for not wanting to be out screaming and running and doing all that stuff. Like,
yeah, but certainly that pressure definitely comes in through community, and I think that some of just like some of the byproduct of systematic oppression is feeling like you can't rest, like you're always having to be safeguarding yourself and being aware and being intentional. And it's just it can be so tiring. And so that's why I love what you're doing, because so I was like, okay, we have to get her on the One Sun, Three Flowers podcast, because we need people to have conversations about these identities that are struggling in the midst of everything going on. And your group and this Instagram gives space for all marginalized people, be it Black bodies, be it brown bodies, Latinx, people of different marginalized sexualities. You hold space for so many. And so I'm just really grateful, because sometimes people want to focus on one form of marginalization and then skip the other. Like, oh, we can talk about, Black or brown bodies, but, as a Facebook friend put up, but then there's exclusion of like the queer community, which has always been very much active in fighting for equality and equal rights, and it's negligent and a horrendous act to exclude them from the movements, because they very much need protection. And so I love that you hold space just for really everyone.
I do my best. It's hard sometimes. Let's be real, it's hard sometimes. But I have to remember, and we all have to remember, that we all are in our own place, We are where we are, and we can't expect anyone to be where we are. So
that's true. I can be where I am and still growing.
Yeah. Well, you have to be. Like, God, you stop growing.
Yeah. I love it. Well, Javonna, how can people get in contact with you and like do some coaching with you? Join? How do they find this Facebook group? All of that good stuff.
So on the Both In project, please follow. This is a newer project, so it's a baby growing right now. And also you can follow there, and you'll get some updates there. My website is on there as well, JavonnaArriaga.com. And also, if you just go to Facebook at /.com/empowering marginalized leaders, you can join that group. I'm not like super picky about who gets to join it. I'm kind of more of like, I let you in. If you mess up, then we talk. Like, well, if you're like a white person and you're like, can I go to that group? I'm like, well, try it. And if you mess up, you may not be able to be part of the group, but that's okay.
Right. As long as you're okay with holding space and empowering these different communities, right?
Yeah. So please join those groups, and then And then, yeah, I mean, if we're working with me, just reach out on any of these platforms, go on my website. I'm actually kind of trying to figure out if leadership coaching, in my own anti-racist work that feels like it's founded in white supremacy. So I'm like working on some ideas of maybe I'm an empowerment consultant because really the work is coming from you, like your leadership voice, what you do. It has nothing to do with me.
Right.
I show up for you to help you see yourself, and that's it. So like I'm actually working a little bit on my title because I'm not sure if leadership coach feels like the work I do. But
Mm.
if you need someone to help you see yourself, reach out.
And I love that shift. Thank you for saying that because that's literally what we do in One Sun, Three Flowers. We have empowerment coaching. So perhaps we can talk later about like connecting and
Yeah.
that work as well.
And
All
now
right. Well, Mind Movement Nerd
coming,
just
Jessica,
joined. Hi.
for joining.
Um, your tribe is coming through. I'm
Yeah.
going to save this to IGTV so you all can definitely catch the replay. If you were live and you're wanting to connect more with Javonna, please, please, please go follow the Growth and Project and connect with her and all the wonderful things she's doing in community.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Courtney.
You are welcome. Okay, I'll see you on the other side of IG, right?
Yes, of course. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.